Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PBL Review, Week 3, Season 3. I'm your host, Typoon1, coach of the Carolina Persian. Now, for my predictions last week, we saw the Buffalo Boufflant take on the Chinese Charmander. I predicted the Chinese Charmander to win that, and they did. The Michigan Weavile versus the Miami Heatmore, I predicted the Miami Heatmore. The Miami Heatmore came out on top. And the Ohio State Obstagoon versus the Carolina Persian, I predicted the Carolina Persian, and my Carolina Persian came out on top. Now, for a review of this week's previous matchups. To begin, we saw the great rivalry match between the Buffalo Boufflant and the Chinese Charmander. To kick off, in match 1, we saw a great back and forth match, each side taking each other's Pokemon with a standout MVP to the Grimmsnarl, being able to take out the Kingambit and doing vital damage to the Chi-Yu that would give an opportunity for the Life Orb to take the knockout. Other critical roles were played by Poseidon the Palafin, taking vital knockouts for the Chinese Charmander, and Rotom Wash getting the final knockouts and winning the game for the Buffalo Boufflant. Now, in match 2, we saw a solid game played by the Chinese Charmander, who controlled the tempo the entire time through MVP Beelzebub the Satitan, being a tanky monster, sitting in there and taking hard hit after hard hit after hard hit. The Boufflant not being able to get him off the field, allowing Beelzebub to sit in there to take 3 knockouts for the Charmander. Other key Pokemon were Aphrodite the Gardevoir, getting the Grimmsnarl that caused so many problems in Game 1 out quickly, and Poseidon the Palafin taking 2 late game knockouts. Now, to wrap up the set, in Game 3 we saw a return to normality, with Susanoo no Mikoto, the Chi-Yu, winning MVP, and Buddha the Kingambit playing a key role in damage dealing. These two returned to their form of previous weeks with an outstanding 5 knockouts for the Chi-Yu. This return to form really exemplifying how scary this team is and really showing why they are one of the current favorites to go all the way. Now we move on to the match between the Michigan Weavile and the Miami Heatmore. In Game 1, we saw a weird sort of back and forth match, despite the fact that one side had an advantage over the other for most of the match, with integral roles being played on both sides by Pokemon such as Moro the Arcanine and Spirit the Dragapult. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sableye and Slowking. Despite there being many standout Pokemon, I believe that the MVP of this match is Tony Chopper the Iron Bundle, with the amount of damage it dished out and sticking around until the end of the match, getting a win for the Miami Heatmore, making it very deserving of an MVP slot. Now, in match 2, it was a slightly more offensive game, with the Michigan Weavile taking initiative at the beginning of the match, taking some solid kills with Scizor Bullet Punch, but afterwards, we are shown more of the same from the Weavile. Another match where they look strong at the beginning, and then slowly lose their grip on the match. Meanwhile, the Miami Heatmore are winning the match with strong play by Spirit the Dragapult and MVP Moro the Arcanine, both taking clean knockouts and Moro sticking around to the end of the match, when only then she was taken out. Now, we finally head to the Ohio State Obstagoon versus the Carolina Persian. In match 1, it could only be described as the Ohio State Obstagoon being decimated, with an early game MVP by Bulldozer Jr. setting up Swords Dance and Earthquake/Dragon Clawing half the Ohio State Obstagoon into submission. This was followed by a Carolina Persian cleanup job after Bulldozer Jr. would go down to a last respects from Poundstone the Houndstone. Despite their MVP going down, it would still be a Carolina Persian victory. Now, match 2 was a bit more even due to a scary belly drum from Azumarill, who took some knockouts and was just a general threat, and Poundstone the Houndstone continually being a nuisance with last respects. At the end of the day, however, the Carolina Persian would still come out victorious through the MVP performance of the Bite of 87, the Fluttermane, coming in with a Thunderbolt to knock out the scary Azumarill, but also nicely supporting roles from Monster the Annihilate and Jurassic Park the Walking Wake. Now, it is time for an interview with our very special guest, Elliot, the coach of the Miami Heatmore. Hello, and now I am here with coach of the Miami Heatmore, Elliot.
Howdy.
Now, to begin with, what threats do you think Xavier's team had?
I think a big part of his team was using that Baxcalibur. And also that Slowking was a little tricky to deal with, saying how it had a lot of HP. His Typhlosion was faster than I thought it would be. But other than that, I think it's just those two that were big threats.
And how do you think you dealt with them? How happy are you with how you dealt with them?
I'm very happy with how I dealt with them. It may have seemed like I was losing a lot of Pokemon very fast, but I feel like setting up with those Pokemon definitely helped take them down.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think makes your team a championship contender this season?
I think the strength it has with its higher tier picks, and I think a lot of typing advantages. The only issue I see with it is a lot of dark types get to take it down easy.
Right. Okay. Now, next week you face Mirror Person's team, and do you think there are any key threats or challenges you may face dealing with it?
I think mostly if he runs an offensive Grimmsnarl, that might be a threat. Other than that, I think Mimikyu and Amoonguss are the biggest ones that I have to worry about. But I think I could take them down.
Now, who do you think is currently the best team in the PBL?
Absolutely, Lawrence's.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
although we've talked about it many a times with other people, what do you think makes his team so good compared to everyone else's?
Fish, absolutely.
Absolutely. And now, do you have, going back to Mirror Person real quick, do you have any plans on how to deal with his team?
I wish not to share that.
All right. I will leave you to figuring out and all of the strategizing you do. Thank you for your time. Thank
you, sir.
Now, let's move into my predictions for next week. So, to begin with, we have the Carolina Persian versus the Chinese Charmander. And I think it's going to be the Chinese Charmander. I've hyped up the Chinese Charmander so much. And, I'd love to say, oh, Carolina Persian, yeah, we got this. I don't think we do. I think that team we are going to play our heart out against. We may even go to a game 3. Maybe. Quite possibly, but it's another one of the great rivalries in this league we have. You have the Chinese Charmander and the Buffalo Bouffalont. You have the Ohio State Obstagoon and the Michigan Weavile. And you have the Carolina Persian and the Chinese Charmander. Now, a quick history of these two teams facing off. In Season 1, back when it was only single battles, the Chinese Charmander were originally owned by another person, and then ownership switched to Larry. And when Larry took over, he played me that week, and I was super overconfident, cocky, and he absolutely blew me out. He killed me. And so then we met up again in the playoffs, and this time it was go to the finals and go attempt to face down Elliot and Miami Heatmore and try winning it all. and he beat me. And so he went to the playoffs and he lost to the Miami Heatmore, and that's where Larry's entire thing about losing the finals is. But besides, like, starts. But and then last season 2, we renewed season 2. We had me and Larry faced off 3 times. I won all 3 of them, especially one matchup that was in the finals for the entire thing. But I won based off of a misclick in the finals. It was that close. He got up 2-0, and then I 3-way swept him back. And so, this is a rivalry between me and Larry, and I think it's going to be an amazing game. But I think he just has everything going his way this season, and I don't think my team's going to be able to be the one to stop him. I think I may beat him in this season. Maybe I beat him in the rematch. I doubt it, but maybe I do. And then, I think he's going to take it. I think King Gambit, I think Chi-Yu, I think Palafin, I mean, all these guys, I think they're just going to overpower mine. And I think I have a good team. I just don't think I can stand up against, Chinese Charmander might. But enough about this matchup. Moving on to the Miami Heatmore versus the Buffalo Bouffalon. Thanks to Elliot again for his great interview. And I have the Miami Heatmore winning here. I think this will be a very close battle. I think just like the one I talked about before this, and I'm going to talk about it again after this, I think this is a really good battle, and I think it may be quite even, although I still think Elliot has the knowledge gap over Mirror Person. Maybe. I don't know. But I think his team has a gap. And so I do think Elliot's crafty and the Miami Heat more crafty, and I think they're going to make a team or a strategy that's going to really shock and move it. But yeah. And now finally, I don't have much more to say on that. It's just a good match, and Buffalo Bouffalon, they gave they gave a shock to the Chinese Charmander. Really, Larry didn't know what hit him first match, so I think they could do that again, certainly. But I think I'm definitely going to still take the Miami Heat more and Elliot. And now finally, we have the Ohio State Obstagoon versus the Michigan Weavile. Again, like I said, this is another rivalry matchup. These two joined and played competitive Pokemon for the first time last season, so that's where they get their rivalry from. Both of these guys are really good friends in real life, and so Xavier and Michael are going to have a real grandiose time here. And their teams really mirror each other, right? The ability, they have good teams. Neither one has a win yet. Or speculated good teams, I guess, because neither of them has a win yet. The season Xavier and the Michigan Weavile are having right now really is mirroring what they did last season, where they did not win a game in the regular season, but since every team goes to the playoffs, the Michigan Weavile came in as 6th seed, and they beat the Buffalo Bouffalon. And they went into the round and they faced me, and of course I win. I won that because I ended up champion at the end of it all. But let's really see what these Michigan Weavile can do this time. And I think again, this is just going to be another good match. I think this week is the week of the matches because you have all of these teams are right on top of each other, me and Larry, Caroline Persian, and the Chinese Charmander right on top of each other. Elliot and Mirror Person, Miami Heatmore versus Buffalo Bouffalon right on top of each other. The Ohio State Obstagoon versus the Michigan Weavile, Michael and Xavier right on top of each other. And so the other thing about that the last match between the Ohio State Obstagoon and the Michigan Weavile is that there is currently that neither of them have wins. And so someone is coming out of this next week here with a win. No, we don't know who yet, obviously. It's yet to be played. But again, as I've been talking about this, right? My prediction is the Ohio State Obstagoon. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting, to say the least, at what the match is. Like I said, it's so close, super close. None of these guys can really. None of these teams have found consistency. None of these teams can really. And I think both of them come down to the same issue as each other. And it's just that neither of these teams really have found any form of not consistency, and both of them really have this tendency to really grab victory like a jungle gym, and they're like climbing across the bars, and they're gonna make it to victory. They're about to swing across, and then they slip across. They like drop it, and it's really bad, and it's a real consistency if you watch all of these matches that they play, especially Michigan Weaviles. They have a really bad habit of dropping very winnable games. Now, how much of that is their fault, or yeah, their fault? I don't know, but I cannot wait for some really good Pokemon this week. Other than that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.